Tinggal hotel di Makro dia tuh berarti itu sekitar mulai jalan sekitar kami aku gagal di satu literat mereka dia belum bisa baru kita mulai terbiasa tuh ada tiga orang kan kota baik aku sering ngobrol Ta'amud, Alaban, Sarah Original, Yarosiki.
그래서 잘 날, 어른이나 그러면 아시나 천만 주차 전에 집에 여러분 하루 좋게 잘 날, 채널 제가
Oh, she. I. Yes. In a moment, you can very slowly rise.
Yeah.
Looking.
No, it's got wheels. On wheels. They were on wheels. Supposed to be that.
Page 221. The art closed, you continue with half cottage. The Sonnet Amidah, pages 223 through 229. You are still in your preparatory teach, as long as you need others from that page 220. Please rise to the right. Amen. You may be seated. Our leader continues on page 226. 227. Amen. Page 230, please rise for the full count. Before I second order, I will mention that today we have been very articulated for Joan Barton, Miriam Burstein, Lynn Citron, Eleanor Galante, Jean Schoenfeld, and Melvin Woodman. Then tonight, Gerald Franklin, Elsie Lowy, Alan Tenenbaum, and Sarah Weissman. Morris Cottage. Yikadal, Yikada, Chimerava, Nama, Yikra, Krute, Yamli Kwapute, the Paikon, Yamekon, Paikon, Israel. Allah is on Parib and Romain. Yes. Arafi, Shabafi, Far, Vikama, Vikase, Vikazar, Vikadar, Vikabal, and Kudushan. Elam, called your Kata, your Kata, and Ekamata, and Mirabi Omar Romain. Yehei Pamarabami Ma'Elokai, Alinu Le'Akol Yisrael V'Romein, Oseh Shalom Yimrohav, V'Aseh Shalom Aleinu, Le'Akol Yisrael V'Romein. Chapter 12, Ariel, well done. Maybe seated.
It is customary in the summer months to study a little piece of Pirkei Avot. And we go on rotation, so we're in chapter 3 right now. So if you want to look around this one along, this one is short. You'll turn in your Stewards to page 244. And my favorite way of learning is you're all help me figure out what this means, because I'm not really sure. So 244, let's read the English. I'm looking at 3:5. Rabbi Hananiah ben Chaffinai taught, those who stay awake at night or who travel alone and turn their thoughts to trivial matters endanger their lives. Okay, so what does this mean? I have no idea. Those who stay awake at night or who travel alone and turn their thoughts to trivial matters endanger their lives. Any ideas right off the bat? Yes. Yes.
I was going to say that basically, don't worry about small things so much, everybody can get everything. Nothing for permanent. Really bad.
Okay.
Like, exactly, so still don't think about things, some that you can, just
Interesting. Okay, so don't focus on things, don't be caught up in trivial things. Let's get a couple more, maybe I'll ask you.
Definitely know that it's dangerous, especially right now, to walk, to walk around there, stuff like that.
Right.
So I really, for some like not to figure out like random thoughts, so just not to be too walking around.
Yeah, it's sort of like a practical warning. I love that. So the second half seems a little more straightforward. Those people who travel alone, or are gonna be at risk. I'm from New York City, so if I like went out and started wandering on my own as a small child, that's not really dangerous. You did a fun thing, you combined them together. You were like traveled wandering around alone at night. That seems super dangerous. So maybe it's like practical thing, you're taking your life into your own hands. Yeah.
All of these things are simply things that like either unnecessarily take up your time and the space and time, or make it harder for you to use the space that there is left. And like if you stay awake at night, you're not gonna think as clearly.
Okay.
And if you think about small things, not only you're not gonna think as clearly, but your thinking is going to be taken up by things that don't need it.
Great.
Which can then not only lead to you accidentally doing something potentially, but it can also make it so that your life isn't being one that is actually lived, it's just one that is experienced.
Okay, great. So there's an idea there that if you're going to spend your time doing these sort of trivial time wasting things, we have a phrase you can say biblical Torah, like you could have been spending that time doing something better, maybe. You could have been paying attention to things, strengthening your brain, being very rigorous and disciplined, or you could have spent that time studying Torah, the best thing to do. Taking your life in your own hands, you're wasting your time. This will be our last one.
This is not about the topic, but what part of New York City are you?
Let's talk about the topic. So one more on the topic behind you, yeah.
Also, it's like if you're someone walking from the Torah and they stop and they're like, oh my god, that view's so great.
Yeah.
They just look at that penalty that leave your camera.
Yeah. They didn't love the modern prevalence of ADHD. But yeah, so you're giving actually like another piece of Talmudic explanation to support our previous comment here, the idea of biblical Torah. You should have been spending that time learning Torah, talking Torah, and you stopped and you went, oh, what a beautiful treat. You had like a Dory the Fifth moment, which I have all the time. But that is, you should have been paying attention to Torah, wasting your time. So I love these. These are many ways you can think about this. 1, practical danger. 2, your time making your a strong, intelligent, learned person. Torah, you're not rigorous enough. Huh? Well, see, so you've got a backstop for your friend. I'll give you a third idea to maybe take home with you. The idea perhaps that both of these isolating. So you could be walking daytime when most are awake, but perhaps there's something about these two activities where you're spending a lot of time with you. Very beautiful. But this Rabbi Hanan, there's also something dangerous, endanger your life. By spending all your time with yourself, you can end up following your own negative thought patterns and not be challenged by anyone or anything else. One way this might feel really real, if you're someone who is prone to the doom scroll, or to spend a lot of time alone in a way that might feel like you're engaging on the internet, that is alone time where you might be able to work yourself up into a bit of doom and gloom. Are bad, presuming that life is going downhill, etc. Maybe a very clever from an ancient rabbi here, if you're spending your time up away or walking alone, you might be leading in negative thought, and you might need to confront some time in the daylight and with. I'm going to conclude with a small passage that we were saying Hebrew before Tisha B'av. Rabbi Hanania ben Tisha Omer Ratzak Yosh Baruch Hu Lispot Yisrael Lefichach Kirva Lahem Torah Mitzvot Shneimar V'Nefesh L'Matzko Yavil Torah V'Yad. Please rise as you're able. We will conclude with Tisha B'av, and it's on page 111 if you want to follow along. 111. Yikradal, Shmei Rabba. Alma, Tibra, Ke, Yamli, Ke, V'Kayakon, Yomechon, Haye, Yehov, Beit Yisrael. Yisrael, Aina, Inho, Birkata, Bishirata, Tushkata, Vinakamata, Daviran, Melma, Biru, Al Yisrael, Al Ramadan, Al Tamidehon, Bel Kol, Tamidehon, Bel Koman, Dos Kirmarata, Viva Atrahadim, the people call a Tarvitar, Yehaim Lakon, the Lakon, Lama Rava, Kupina, Bahista, Rakini, Behind the Repeat. Umizunara Vika, Utorkana, Minkodem, Alpon, Divishmaya, Vibru, Ishmama Rava, Ishmaya, Vikai, Torim, Alim, Jal, Israel, Vibru, Bahan. Oseh Shalom, Vimravav, Ubara, Hamad, Yaseh Shalom, Aleinu, Vel, Israel, Vibru,
So, if you are with USY, please help put our books back. And thank you for being with us, and you are going out that way for your next activity and dinner, is that right? You are, great line. If you are not with USY, you are invited to stay for Shalosh students, snack and study with Rabbi Wright, talking about the real.
I see my.
Yeah. It's fine. No, you know what's
She needs some other
They have good produce.
Yeah. Contact for you, it's great.
Yeah.
So kind of has like say or why something right. Two things. Have never done right software. They talked about this right, and it. Because in my mind, watch movies on short days, yeah. Okay. They would have over. And like, in the reality of it, and like, you know, no one ever needs that, I thought to me, like, how much red there was in the, of the armies. And it was. There was.
Yeah.
Keep doing that, like, nice, it's like, time to get it right. You'll get it right, yes. He dropped it. But like, oh, they could have done it, they could have done it. Yeah, just more about it. Thank you. So kind of like clarified, like. I mean. Yeah, you had not a lot of New Yorkers. Wow, it's funny, George Harrison just kind of like, so fun, brought things together and bringing the fun together here.
Oh, the camera fell.
I
was like, whose street is that?
Oh, dear. And how like.
I think it just balances on the TV. I don't know if anyone's actually there.
Oh,
okay. Thank you.
Cause that has to be.
Cool.
The.
Yeah, very fancy. No point, just straight. Yeah, I guess it doesn't clip, huh? It just sort of rests there. That's weird. Okay.
Thank you, Gary.
I don't know which house to come this guy. Kids were.
For that many teenagers.
It's a bad decision. That was not bad. It was just that. That was a library at school. Yeah. It's not like mystery. I'll try to show it. Initially, it's not like the aggressive. Yeah. I'm like. That's a good work. Try this. Let me turn over and try this.
Yeah, you really.
That was a warning read. Let's put it that way. You're in practice. It's pretty good. Yeah, it's like.
They only speak good.
Right.
If you don't have a book, also if you have a book, I kind of chopped up.
Yeah, like the scroll.
I chopped
Yeah.
up.
When you're, then when you.
Oh, yeah.
And your eyes are not quite focused.
Yeah.
This, and you're like.
Yeah.
And I don't think it was one.
I think I would have. Anyone have a book?
Yeah.
I just want you to voice it on.
I should get some Tisha B.
Wes, do you have a?
No.
Okay, here.
More.
I mean, I got 8 of them, so even if you have a book, if you want the facility and turning pages.
Wife's city, wife's city.
Like a nice. He should do soft ceramics. Let me help you. Designs are gonna be there. You know, with so many. It's like all the clothes I buy that return. Would be perfect, yeah, no jersey.
I have to get it that but otherwise, the area was some flash of that never really manifested. Sort of. It's like once a month, unless it's a bunch of holidays. It's a retreat.
Chances that in fact,
That was my negotiation with my mother because when I was younger, any class, but I probably like I need to be able to say, people, I don't know what you have like. Yeah, even also, yeah, like.
They're all. They're at the very early stage. I want to be this, I want to. If I don't know what to be, but I want to. Yeah, I mean, it's kind of back into that level. That's kind of, it's a bit hard to do.
Right. There you go. You can either follow the book or if you prefer, you want to turn the pages. I have a family little selection. Paladin. John, I used to, why not? So. Yeah. I printed these at home, so just know that they turn the wrong way, it's only one page to our side. There you go. Yes, it's well. I did chop it up a little bit because it was cold. Alright, anyone else have?
I think that because it's
He uses one metaphor basically all.
They read.
He does like a little bit of verbosity. I love the storytelling, so that's what we're gonna focus on.
Yes.
Are you learning or are you?
I'm. I say, I know you are off duty, but since we're gonna she's over there, I'm just trying to get out of the. Harry should be around somewhere.
Okay, when you're on your way, can you close the door so I can?
Yes.
No children. The loud, they would be. Tiny infants. I just visited my brother in San Francisco, which was lovely. And he and his wife have been watching Lemony Snicket. It's a children's TV show, so I guess I'm just enough here too, because we watched like an episode every day. Okay.
Tips, I would say, or
No, we all are children in some ways. It's a good show. And actually I have a not a friend, an acquaintance, but I haven't talked to her since graduating college, who became a somewhat famous actress, and then she appeared in it, and I was like, oh, Allison, that's funny. So it kind of ruined it for me because it's supposed to be this sort of fictional fantasy land, and I was like, but that's Alice. So okay, so I don't know how the men folk are teaching this. It's a lot to cover 2 chapters in, we usually do shelf studies for like half an hour, 20 minutes. So the way I'm gonna do it is I've chosen call like a little nugget from chapter 5 and one nugget from chapter 6 that I thought was beautiful. Spoiler alert, Alan Liu was the rabbi of a synagogue that then shrunk, and as such, only had student rabbis. So I was their rabbi for 2 years. So I am Rabbi Alan Liu's successor in a much shrunken role. But he was beloved by the community, really wise man, very interested in meditation and spiritual and philosophical reflection, and uses some of the metaphors that overuses perhaps certain metaphors. But what I liked was the distillation. So we're up to Slichot and Rosh Hashanah. This is an aside, but if you should ever decide, you have books, you probably won't do this, but just let me fetch. If you should ever decide you want to listen to the audiobook of this, don't. Because bless his heart, the man who records it does the weirdest pronunciation of all of the Hebrew. Falling, and you're unable to listen to it. I think he's trying to do Hebrew pronunciation, but like, when we speak English, I don't say Rosh Hashanah, it's Rosh Hashanah, and so just say, anyway, okay. So, Slichot, here I'm condensing into the word heartbreak, which I thought was a beautiful concept, that the idea is this brokenness, like the Leonard Cohen song, there's a crack in anything, that's how the light gets, and this idea that you really need to break a little bit in order to experience something divine. And we've condensed Rosh Hashanah into the idea of wholeness or self-forgiveness, which is the second page. So he went through several stories, but I didn't want to copy each of them to get us to this moment of heartbreak. I guess everyone read through the book already to this point, chapter 5.
Yes.
No, oh wow. No.
I have not, but it's okay.
I'm trying to give you an overview and giving you a spoiler. So he tells some stories about moments in his life where they put in a lot of work. His grandmother, his mother, I believe, and him in his own life, really building up expectations only to have it sort of crumble. And that experience of embarrassment or fear made him have a deeper, more robust experience of life, this sort of heartbreak moment. So his mother is trying to do a giant piano recital and chokes. His first child is born and they think it's gonna be this like beautiful hippie experience where they're gonna stay in.
Is exactly where my head went.
And she has complications and is rushed out on a gurney and he's like, that's not what I thought. So these moments where like he has an expectation, he is learning it, and then life takes a zigzag in a way that's unexpected. So we'll read it. Now, if you're in the book, which you are very welcome to be, I did slice things because I got real tired of typing. So you'll just have to jump a little bit. We're starting on page 106, or in the photocopy, the page. Okay. Let me see if I can find one. So you want the photocopy? Yeah. There we go. I got more, I suppose. Here you have photocopy. Okay. Well, you can have photocopy too. And go home. Pass it around. Okay, yeah. All right, I'm keeping one for myself. So page 106, is that where we're going to? Where did I start? Was it 106? I wrote the page down as 106, but I know where I am in my quotes. I may have written the wrong thing.
Part of it's heartbreak, right?
Yeah, yes. Oh, okay, I just cut off the page. I'll start from where I wrote it in my head. Okay. Where is that? Oh man, this is what happens when you make a. No, because I started at you think, and I don't see you think in the book, so I wanna make sure I didn't mistranspose. Immense reality.
I don't see you think either.
Yeah, I don't see you think.
106.
You must skip around.
I must have skipped for around. Alright, I'll learn. And this is an immense reality in all of our resolutions and strategies for coping, all of our attempts to manipulate reality, all of our attempts to get cute with life are thin reeds in the face of this immensity. Even if we spent months preparing, when we reach this moment, we realize we are utterly unprepared.
And that a lot.
Yeah. I don't know what he means by unprepared. I think he means you can imagine something, but really experiencing it is orders of magnitude bigger. So you might think you know how you react in an emergency. You know, this is one of the first things they do when they teach you emergency training. Like if you should ever, God forbid, see someone get shot, or I was just spending time in Kiddush talking to someone who was at the CDC yesterday and they went on lockdown, or God forbid you ever see someone get hit by a car. You like to think you would know what to do. But probably you're gonna stand there with your mouth open and not do anything of a lot of utility. So there's an idea that we think we might know how we'll behave in a situation, but when you're actually confronted with the immensity of a situation, you're probably just gonna focus on surprise or fight, flight, freeze. So I think that's what he means by unprepared. You haven't actually grappled with the immensity of something scary that's happening. So all of these stories make a mockery of our preparations. And this is what we call heartbreak. Heartbreak is precisely the feeling that we have done our best, we have given it our all, but it hasn't been enough, not nearly enough. And this is what we mean when we say, God is close to the brokenhearted. And 107.
Yeah.
Yeah, well, the first paragraph on my sheet had I did something special and I don't know what I did, so
Yeah.
I outsmarted myself and moving on, okay. This is what we mean when we say, God is close to the brokenhearted. And this is what we mean when we say, Ein banu ma'asim, we have no good deeds. This is what it says in Avinu Malkeinu, and I'm skipping a little, Avinu Malkeinu, chonenu va'anenu. Our Father, our King, be gracious to us, be gratuitously loving, and answer us even though we don't deserve it, ki ein banu ma'asim, because we have no good deeds to invoke in our defense. In other words, now that we are standing in the face of this immense reality, we realize there is nothing we can do about it. That all our deeds are as nothing. We realize that we have greatly overestimated our cleverness and our potency, and go source sheet QED. We have overestimated the efficacy of our conscious behavior, and we have underestimated the persistence and the depth of our destructive tendencies. Okay, so far does this sound like it's describing something that resonates with you? No. What about it doesn't seem?
I don't feel so unprepared as he suggests.
Mm.
Yeah. I don't have that many surprises.
And even
No rude surprises.
Okay, great, so even things that have happened in your life in a scary way, you sort of haven't had that like.
Things have happened in my life, I go back far,
Yeah,
not recently,
no, so it doesn't speak to you in this moment, they're not feeling that right now.
no.
Okay, yeah.
his mother wasn't unprepared. His mother was
She
unprepared.
was more than prepared,
They were
yeah.
more than prepared.
Right,
And they were, and Jean Howard, they were more than prepared.
Right,
What they weren't prepared for was their fear
yeah,
in that moment.
yeah,
They weren't prepared for that. But
yeah,
The rest of the experience had nothing to do with the preparedness.
right,
So I kind of took issue with that.
yeah,
And different people react differently to fear.
right.
The brokenheartedness, I love that God is there for the brokenhearted. But they were
Yes.
brokenhearted not because they were unprepared, but because they couldn't deal with their fear.
Interesting, okay, good, so well, yeah, Sarah, and then I'll see what I can do, okay, yeah.
Okay, the difference is because, for instance, yesterday's tragedy, there were people that. The one policeman rushed in, he was very young, he just started his duty, really, he just said in September. And I was thinking about the people at Fort Stewart. Who rushed in, and sometimes. You have the training. And you do the acts. In other words, when we do a takedown in the hospital, we have the training how to do a takedown. But what comes with it, which
Then you
are not,
tackle someone?
yeah. And
I would love to see that.
most lots of fun.
Just Sarah, yeah.
Anywho, but you're not prepared for the emotion of it. And that has a lot to do with in combat. The soldiers did the act, did it good, did what they were trained to do, but afterwards, the enormity of it. And this is when you go, oh, you know, what have I done?
Yeah.
What is this mean?
Yeah.
Death, destruction, whatever, you know, and your heart breaks. And those are like soldiers coming back, they've done these things and suddenly they have to deal with the enormity of it all. And that they're not prepared for because they have not done it yet, this is the first time they've done it.
And an emotion is fear, that's pretty much what I was getting to, their emotions were maybe not prepared.
No,
for the
you're never
enormous
prepared.
situation, but they were prepared in every other way.
They did the acts, it's like,
But even these mother, she couldn't.
yeah, and what the enormity of the crowd, all that, she'd been practicing, but
Right.
not the,
She hadn't practiced being afraid.
yeah, and being with so many people.
So, okay, great, we had some great ideas, so Steven's saying this, maybe I can think back to a situation where I may have felt something like this, but I don't feel like this now, so how does it make sense of this for high holidays, that's where I think like, I don't feel this right now. Okay, so then another thing to say, let's separate prepared from encountering a terrifying or awful, nora, like we say that God is awful, awesome, I guess we say not awful, awesome. I think the same thing, but not in modern language, but God is very awe, and that's fear really, so the issue isn't lack of preparedness, you know, she practiced, he thought about this birth and they bought all the little booties and towels he needed, but there was something about fear in the moment maybe that they weren't prepared for that was a cracking open. And then Sarah, you bring an interesting point of PTSD or the experience of like an after wave of feeling you can have after you do something. So the woman I was talking to today said that they were fine, they were sheltering in place. There was another woman who had gotten stuck sheltering in her car in a parking garage, and they were there for like 5 hours. She was hiding in her car alone in her parking garage. And then when she finally was able to reunite with the group, she had a total panic attack. So it's interesting, she didn't have a panic attack in the car, but afterwards, you know, the rush of feelings might be something that would break the. So I wonder,
Adrenaline.
the adrenaline, yeah, when you're able to unclench, all of a sudden everything floods in. And there is a sort of idea, I think, in a lot of therapy for post-traumatic events, that it's actually the clenched inability to feel these big things rush in that can make it occur in sort of dramatic, life-damaging ways outside of your control. So there's a lot of controlled therapy, especially they did this in Israel for the first time ever. All soldiers coming back from the field had to be diverted before going into their homes for the first time they came back to a center where they all talked about what happened. And the idea being like in this space, don't just squish the feelings so that they sort of rot and turn into like a PTSD diamond inside of you, but that you're able to sort of move them through.
That they don't have to be on the look.
Yes, but what I think he's saying is these experiences, if you can be aware of them when they're happening, when they happen to you in your life, you know, we might try to avoid them and all, like we try to avoid choking publicly. But if you can feel them, maybe it opens this kind of heartbreak as an experience when you see that you are so much smaller than you thought you were. Radically tiny. I'll read the last paragraph. Ein banu ma'asim, we have no good deeds. We thought we knew what to do. We thought we had things figured out, but then we ran into the wall of reality. We turned around and saw an immense crowd looking back at us at Carnegie Hall, skipping a little bit. We were suddenly hooked up to fetal monitors, suddenly wheeled into the operating room. I know, sorry, this is rude to the book people. I didn't realize anyone would have a book. Skip ahead a little. The reality we now confronted was so powerful and irresistible that it had blown all our attempts to prepare for it away. skip ahead, the temple was destroyed, the walls of the city had crumbled. This is what we call heartbreak. There is a sort of, to round back to Stephen's question, challenge in prayer, especially the emotive holidays we have. This is a joy holiday, this is a sad holiday, this is a like laugh holiday, I'm trying to think through,
Here's an introspective holiday.
it's an introspective holiday. It can be hard to say, well, I'm not feeling that right now. Like maybe I felt that once a little bit, but like I'm doing pretty good, thank God. To have a moment, and Slichot is one of those moments you're just be saying like, wow, I realize how small I am. How do you compel yourself to feel a feeling of awe that you don't feel in the moment? I suppose one way to do it would be to read someone else's story. Like that's why I love the storytelling parts of this book, less the philosophical rambles, but more the like vignettes. I think those are beautiful ways to tap into that feeling of smallness. You can imagine being him in the delivery room when that's happening. Yeah, you can imagine being Stan. I mean, that was laughable. Yeah, you just think, well, this is gone completely differently, and he can't do anything. I love the part, it made me kind of annoyed too, but like, it's, human nature, where he tries to like caress her and she's like, get away from me, and he's like, oh no, she yelled at me, and I'm like, dude, move on. But I was just, yeah.
You get the sense sometimes, like it's not really part of this world, not the reality. Of what he's there, out there.
Yeah, he's a meditative dude. He talks a lot about that.
It's coming through.
Yes. I think he wrote this as like a spiritual reflection.
Yeah.
But what I like about it also is if you've ever gone through a period of life where you're not feeling particularly even keeled, when you're feeling very upset that everything is wrong or overwhelmed or sort of why me, or like, all of my, I'm imagining him, you could say, all of my nieces and nephews were born without trauma. Why should I have to go through this? This isn't what I wanted. I wanted it to be cute. I wanted to hug her and take a selfie. He could have been caught in that, and there's something sort of validating about those darker times where you may have felt overwhelmed and sad and disappointed and terrified. That there's something to that you could learn. Yeah.
I thought it was interesting that it says there was that part about where they take pictures and he doesn't want pictures taken of the family. And he really thinks that memory is better, and I'm thinking to myself, oh, you're young enough. You don't realize how many memory it's going to take of you.
Yeah,
Rich people would have had a picture at that point.
Yeah, because they say, what about souls? And you go, what?
Yeah.
I went to this person.
Yeah.
Lower,
Mm-hmm.
because my wife and I spent 3 months doing a Mars test.
Yes.
And then we went into, and we went into hospital to have a baby. And he said, well, we have to do a C-section. I said,
What?
place to, spend 4 months doing those Mars classes with my wife, and you're having a C-section. Okay, again, I'm a little worried because, he makes money. But it was a wonderful experience. They allowed me into the OR during the C-section. I actually was helping,
You were doing it, yeah.
I had.
Don't tell Sarah.
But I was in the OR with Sarah. But actually, they had me help the anesthesiologist.
No, mine is out.
That's very good.
Right, so you ended up playing a more decisive role perhaps than you would have in a Lamaze situation.
Yeah, we had sugar-free lollipop. She was going to have, that part of it, you should have it. We had a bottle of champagne that we put into the refrigerator at the nurse's station. I was like,
I wonder if doctors see that and kind of laugh. Yeah. My best friend from college had a baby 3.5 months ago, 4 months ago, and she's such a planner. I mean, thank God everything went beautifully, but she brought like a whole Tupperware of snacks, because the internet told her, and I saw it, I admired it. I was like, wow, Casey, those are great. It was like these little snack containers. I came in when I mentioned her, the baby has snack containers on her kitchen counter untouched. I was like, I didn't have time for you snacks. But yeah, Yeah.
No, my daughter's pregnant now, and I said, you were join this club. And everybody's gonna give you advice, because they all, their pregnancy and all that, I said, the thing that's wonderful about it is this is yours. And it's gonna be your journey, and you're gonna have your story. And so, just be open, I said, because I have no advice, but do enjoy it. Just embrace it all.
Right.
And whatever comes your way. Hopefully a safe baby is born, that's the main goal. But anyway, yeah, everyone has their story. And that's the fun part.
Right, it never goes to plan, it certainly won't go to someone else's plan that they want.
Or the tragic story too, but both, yeah.
Yes, okay, so let's say we got through Slichot, the funny way, so just, we're gonna have to go with that a little bit. And we're on page 125 after the. This one, I think I transcribed more ways. You can take as many liberties. Okay, so this sort of thing I really love, where he gives you a story to like viscerally connect with the philosophical idea he's giving you. Now we're in okay. I was sitting in my living room alone one Saturday afternoon when I heard the sound of a basketball bouncing on the sidewalk outside. Before I knew it, big wet tears started. I was actually gonna make you sad, read. Someone else may get through it. Okay, started rolling down my cheeks. The sound of the ball took me back to when I used to shoot hoops with my father, now dead 14 years. We played on a little asphalt court he built for me down the hill from our house. I was an American kid, I lived for sports, I skipped a little, but my father was born in Poland to a family of war refugees. And when he came to America at the age of 9, he spent every afternoon of his young life working to help support his family. So my father couldn't shoot, I skipped. My father would fling the ball wildly toward the basket like a shot putter gone berserk. I love it. Okay, so you have the image so far. Now we're gonna learn more about his dad. Now you should know that my father had an ego as big as all New York. He never admitted when he was wrong, and he competed fiercely at everything he did. He defended his position in the silliest argument as if his life depended on it, yet he regularly humiliated himself by coming down to this asphalt court to shoot baskets with me, laughing at his own ineptitude, cackling with self-deprecation as the ball flew out of his hands, as if it had a will of its own. I never realized it then, but it seems obvious now that he only came down to be with me, his real live American kid. Or anyone else remember this story when you read it? Yeah, okay, what were your thoughts so far? What did the story make you think?
He was able to put all that other stuff aside because he made a decision on what was more important.
Yeah.
Being with his son was more important than his own mishigas.
Yes, right, how do I appear, do I look good, am I really good at what I do, am I winning?
Didn't matter.
Didn't matter, yeah. I suck at this, doesn't matter, yeah, right, beautiful.
The nice part is that he remembers that story, and that's what his father wanted, for him to remember them.
Yes.
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 He can appreciate true love.
Yeah.
This is true love.
Yeah, it's not what they did, it's that put together.
See, this is a way that he really viscerally, you can tell by these, the feeling he has about it, remembers being loved by his dad in this way. And I think when you, at least in pop culture, you read about parents like, I want my kids to remember playing basketball. So like, yeah, but that's not really, I mean, he remembers the basketball, but he remembers something deeper about the basketball.
It really has nothing to do with that.
Yeah, like good fond memories playing ball with my dad, but also like this feeling of my father radically able to be himself because he was prioritizing loving me over worrying about any of his flaws.
I don't think too many people get that.
Yeah.
in life. I think that's so special, so I'm envious, I mean.
Yeah. That kind of like where the parent's not gonna think, oh, do I look silly? Am I like losing my kid's respect by not being good at this, and I'm the dad and he should think I'm so good, I'm never gonna let him see me stink at something. Yeah, no, the closeness is more.
Yeah, it didn't matter what they did, really.
Yeah. Yeah. It matters that he's bad at it.
That's what I mean,
Yeah.
let go.
Yes. And I love where he takes this. One more thoughts on the story so far? Okay. I realized something else I hadn't realized before. My father was about as beautiful as it is possible for a human being to be. down there on that basketball court. It was the only time I ever knew him to be comfortable saying, this is me with all my limitations, with all the loss and suffering my life has dealt me. This is exactly who I am. Sitting there in the living room, I could see that radiant, open, laughing face of his, a face transformed by self-forgiveness. That was when the tears came. So this experience of being loved, but also of the moment where his father is able to like step outside of worrying what's wrong with him and as he succeeded and as he's safe. And you can imagine an immigrant who's at 9 working, you know, maybe his focus is always on, am I good enough? Am I strong enough? Am I making enough money? Am I building enough? But it seemed to be satisfied with himself in that moment. And he goes on a little more in this chapter. I mean, we think of Rosh Hashanah before the high holiday season being a time of forgiving others. And that I thought that was very beautiful that his focus really is here first finding a way to forgive ourselves. Not because you're gonna say like, oh, I was a jerk to people and now I'm gonna let it go. But because often the things that we most begrudge in others are things that we haven't forgiven in ourselves. Those things that we feel shame about and feel resistant to, we then see in other people and lash out. For instance, if I'm being honest, I get most, this is my go-to example, because you don't need to know all my problems, but I get most annoyed with people who are poor drivers in Atlanta, and it's probably because I too am a somewhat aggressive driver. I'm just a skilled one. But the things that you have your own feelings about, you're going to judge more harshly. So there's this beautiful moment of wholeness that his father experiences in, or he sees his father experience in joyfully embracing his own limitation. Have you thought about, what does it sit with you, the feeling of Rosh Hashanah as self-forgiveness?
It's a very unusual idea.
Yeah.
It never occurred to me to think about self-forgiveness.
Yeah.
That's this. It's a good takeaway.
Yes, yeah. Then you mean it's never occurred to you as a concept, or certainly not about Rosh Hashanah?
Concept, yeah.
Yeah.
I should even think about it.
Yes. Yeah.
Yes.
But good to think about. Are there things where we feel shame about them? I remember growing up, I had a friend who would always say, oh, I'm bad at math. That was like something she would announce as like a sort of armor defense. And because as kids we had been streamed in different math classes, she was in a lower one, so and it somehow struck me, you know, when people come to me and say, oh, Rav, I'm bad too, you know, the people who like put their limitations up front, it's neither self-forgiveness nor anything productive. It's just sort of like, oh gosh, I don't want anyone to know that I'm not good at this, and you sort of crunch around it. So it could be something you say, oh, I'm bad at that, whatever, or something you're angry at someone else about, because really it's something that you've struggled with, or something that you try to force someone you love to be, because you would like to be that. So you could imagine that in this parent-child dynamic, there may have been times where his father wanted him maybe to, you know, it's always hard as an immigrant parent, you want them to not work hard at all because you worked so hard to just enjoy, or you could want them to also work hard and
Oh, you're gonna do that,
yeah, to do better than you did.
It's just that who carries it one step further.
Mm.
And he changes faults into good things. Well, that's a bit of a stretch that I can't totally swallow. And in fact, you really are guilty about what you're thinking about. I can't make it into a nice work.
Right.
He tries to do that.
Yes, so he does take it further, and I can see why it would not quite make sense, because he doesn't give you a convincing example really of what he means. You could sort of try to read it in this example of in some way, it's not that they're playing basketball, and it's not just the love of it that he's showing up and doing something hard. But it sounds like he sees something beautiful in his father embracing being a complete sports klutz. Like, wow, I'm not cool. Not just like, I don't care that I'm not coordinated, I'm gonna play with you, but boy, am I uncoordinated. Like the joy in maybe releasing something that he had been sort of hung up about before in other areas. This sort of thing.
I don't need forgiveness for that.
You don't need forgiveness for being a sports klutz. Yeah, who cares? As my mother would say, Jews don't play sports. So
Real stuff.
It wasn't.
Real stuff that you really want to give yourself. And that's what
Right,
It
right,
wasn't the sports, it's the fact that his father was a busy, demanding man who was always busy. And to take time out, to give time, which is a precious thing. And
yes,
that's kind of what. You take the time to forgive yourself.
Yeah.
He saw through. He saw his father's humanness in his act,
Mhm.
and that was precious. So
Yes.
it didn't matter what he did. I have memories that are like crystal clear to me through all the different tragedies that comfort me in my old age of things that happened that were precious.
Mhm.
And that gives me joy, and this gives him joy, and he carries it with him. The comfort of his dad, will he have to take with him, even after they passed or died or whatever it is.
Yeah.
And I think it's that.
yeah, so they spend quality time together.
It didn't matter what it was, he
Yeah.
did that. He gave that gift to him this time.
He felt, certainly you can feel his dad's love in this story, which is touching.
Yeah.
You said something that I'm trying to figure out, I think maybe I don't think he's saying, and he sort of gives a throwaway, hey, I'm not saying, don't just let your flaws go to hide from reality, deny weakness, deny anything we've done wrong, be like, oh, my flaws are great. There is something he's saying about self-forgiveness of your flaws that is beautiful. Sarah, you said, he sees his dad as human. And I think maybe that's one other way to look at it. We still don't like it, right? We're working on it, that this humanness isn't just, oh, my dad has flaws. I think all kids are aware of their parents' flaws because they're watching you at all times. But that his dad is sort of able. There's something very hard in being a child, in seeing your parents' flaws clearly, and in being aware that they refuse to look at their own flaws. Out of self-defense or incapability or just practiced patterning of behavior. There is something very joyful, I suppose, in seeing your father as an example. Look at his own flaw, not ignore it, not shove it down, not say, well, this is the way everyone is, which a lot of people do. You show them a flaw and laugh.
Childlike, his father was
Childlike, yes, to see someone you love and admire, see their own flaw and laugh. Not because they're like, oh, it doesn't matter, I'm gonna be a jerk, but there's such a pain in seeing someone else's flaw that you love and then being completely unaware of it or maybe in denial about it.
It's
So maybe add?
doesn't know.
No.
If you did something really bad, like
Yeah.
you cheated somebody, you got away,
Yeah,
you committed adultery.
right,
All those things cannot be transformed. I don't believe it can be transformed.
He turned some
Yeah.
of these into positive things, and I said, what?
Yeah.
I couldn't understand how he does that.
See what I'm trying
He
to say?
shows adultery as and so maybe in that relationship, there was something positive that came out of something. Yeah, that's one of the things we just read. I didn't understand,
No.
but I also find it interesting that what he's focusing on is his strength versus the father's. They didn't do something that was the father's strength and his
yeah,
limitation.
right, could have played chess or something.
It could have been something
Yeah.
totally different.
Yeah.
So, I mean, it's a very sweet story.
Yes,
And
it's a very sweet story, if just for the love of it, of the father being humble and prioritizing love over it. I'll say this in its defense, because I still think there's something here, but I'm not gonna, spend all my credit on it.
You can say that it can make your life better if you realize it and admit it to yourself.
Yes,
It can make you feel better.
he's not saying sin is okay.
Yeah.
He's saying there is a blessing, a virtue in self-forgiveness. Now, first you need to fix what you did, and you can't keep sinning to then forgive yourself to like rack up karma points.
I mean, I think that's the point. He says, it is your life's work to turn evil into good.
Right, and the evil exists.
Find the little dots, the white dots buried within the blackness.
Yes, it's a very Kabbalistic idea. And one that I also like, but well, so here, let's take the adultery example before I lose my idea. Okay. I know people who have committed adultery. Not one of them maybe, okay, we'll say like, yeah, I did it. No, they're all like, well, the marriage was falling apart and he was a jerk and no one understood me and it was just a little thing. Most people, even when they commit a sin, maybe are too headstrong or ignorant, but I think psychologically, it's too hard for them to look at themselves in the face to actually own with that sort of bubbly release in the way his father seems to own his own perfectionism in that moment. So let's say perfectionism is the sin, I refuse to do anything I'm bad at, combativeness, rigid, competitive. In that moment, it feels like he looks at that part of himself and says like, yeah, I'm a competitive ass, but here I'm like, I get it, I'm not feeling that, I'm feeling love for my son. So maybe there is something about Rosh Hashanah, about the high holidays, which is to allow yourself to look at the things you've done wrong, and you can't look at them angrily and make tshuva, because then you're just gonna hate yourself, and that's not tshuva. So wait, there was a line in here, oh, you can't. Shoot, am I gonna find it in time? I'll find it for next week. The only way to make yourself a more compassionate person is also to be compassionate to yourself.
Yeah.
So if you know that you are an adulterer and you look at yourself with derision and hatred, very unlikely that you're gonna make tshuva about your adultery. Now it's frustrating because I think we have a very natural like crime, consequence, justice model also. So you would hope that there's a consequence, maybe their spouse left them another, or they have to face that, or maybe they, whatever consequence needs to be. But for tshuva, which is beyond, annoyingly, I gotta tell you, tshuva is beyond crime and consequence. The idea of God's forgiveness and compassion and mercy is beyond the schema of crime and consequence. So you have to sort of assume God's dealt with the consequence already, or life has. But to have that sort of repair and wholeness, you need to be able to look at the crime you've done in yourself as criminal compassionate. So I think in some way this story is his father looking at his own flaw, which is a small one by comparison. Let's call it, we could call it his imperiousness. Like no one likes someone who's always gonna win an argument. That's annoying. But his competitiveness, his perfectionism, and laughs. And that's the sort of like cloud of tshuva that he always. Alright, any other thoughts so far now about what's that? Not really most of that, I think. Okay, so we're doing 2 more chapters every week. I'm gonna do the exact same thing on Thursday, so there's no need to hear it again unless you want me to find the book that I couldn't find.
Because I'm on Thursday, I want to know.
You want to do
Some guys can't mark a page, all you're doing it, you can say, where is it, why don't you just mark the paper, the page of the book?
I think because we're easily distracted, well, because I thought I was doing everyone a solid by making a source sheet, they already had books, and then 2 systems.
Yeah, the rabbi, he gave book of papers too and all that.
Yeah, everyone has books, I'll just.
So you're supposed to read the book.
You were supposed to read the book, but you can't expect, most in class doesn't read the book usually, and this group does.
Everybody, let's see. There you go.
I could have said that.
Yeah, yeah. Okay.